Welcome to the Simple Minds podcast, where six mates unpack three topics over a new drink each week. Fuck it, just go with that. We'll fix it if it's...
All right, it's Matt Hannam here. Welcome to the Simple Minds podcast. I'm joined today by Mr. Travis Haydo.
Yo, how are we?
Mr. Marco No.
Hello.
Mr. Conrad Francis.
G'day.
And Mr. Justin Bourne.
What's up?
Now everyone's... We have an apology from Michael Duncan today. Unfortunately, he's sunning himself down in the southwest of WA.
What's he doing? Is he seriously down there?
Yeah, he's seriously down there. Anyway, so we've just started, but we're already on to the second drink because my first one was well and truly shot down. So
we didn't drink the first drink.
No, we didn't. We've started with the second drink. My big thanks go out to the to the owner / employee at a liquor venue who suggested that I try something.
Tell me. Who was it?
I don't even remember who it was. Anyway, Fireball was the suggestion. It's a whiskey with cinnamon, and the first three gentlemen that walked into the room ran straight back out because they've seen it before. So we'll leave it at that.
Don't drink Fireball.
Fortunately, on my shelf was a bottle of Talisker, single malt Scotch whiskey, aged 10 years, made by the sea. So right now, everyone is sipping on it. Half neat.
Much better. It's beautiful. Much better.
Two ice blocks for Mr. Travis Haydo, 2.5 for Mr. Conrad Francis, and about 5 for Justin.
I've got an eyelash in here as well. So
and an eyelash. Does that add a bit to the flavour?
Because it's mine, it added a bit of class to it. So
I got a cool story about Talisker. First day I was in Edinburgh.
Oh, here we go.
The bartender that I got served at, like a really famous little whiskey bar in Edinburgh, I just asked him, can you pick a whiskey off the back bar to give me? And in my mind I was like, any whiskey that they give me, I'm going to go to the distillery in this year that I'm here for, thinking that like it's Scotland, great, there's going to be distillery next to distillery next to distillery, doesn't matter what whiskey they pick, there's only one or two that they can pick that will be really isolated. And this guy picks off a Talisker sherry cask, gives it to me, and I was like, I don't know exactly what that is. Isle of Skye, which is a 6-hour drive on a little island with no other distilleries on it whatsoever. It's the only distillery on the Isle of Skye. But that was a cool trip anyway, and real lovely whiskey. Yeah, well, there's a nice little map of Skye right there on the bottom, made by the sea. I think that's lucky you. So how was it? Beautiful, best driving.
Can we smoke it? Stogies out.
I'll have to do that in your office, mate.
We've got a ton of them.
No, anyway, so awesome story. Who knew there was a story in the drink? So it wasn't mine. I think my dad actually bought me this bottle. I think it's.
Thanks, Dad.
It was for. I think it came for my birthday.
Cheers
are we plugging Dad now?
Hey?
Are we plugging Dad now?
We're plugging Dad. Thank you, Dad.
Sponsor.
Making sure next trip you bring me another one. We can plug you very much.
Please.
And, but certainly not plugging the bottle shop which advised me to purchase the Fireball. Who's first, guys?
That's me.
Who's on first? Isn't it? Skit?
Hello first.
I'm
As
on
you
second.
know,
No, you're on second. I'm on third.
I'm first, Conrad. So
No, that's a whole comedy skit.
You're
Who's
third.
on first?
No, I'm first.
I was
right?
trying to be funny.
Get back off your box and sit back down.
Speaking back here.
Okay, so
You're getting married tomorrow.
as
right?
you know, yes, I am.
And I have the mic.
Getting married tomorrow. Thank you very much. So I figured that I would talk about love. Because
Predictable.
Because you're in love?
because I'm just so in love. But no, I just thought something that changed my actual entire life is a book that I read, and it's called The 5 Love Languages.
Ooh.
And
We've
it
talked
is
about that a lot this week.
yes, it's a tremendous book. And so the concept behind I'll give you a bit of backstory first, and then I'll ask my question. The concept behind the 5 love languages is that you communicate in the language that you want to receive. So there's 5 categories per se. There's words of affirmation. So I need to tell Conrad that he's really good looking all the time, and he's good at what he does. Acts of service. I need to rub Conrad's back all the time. Giving gifts. Conrad needs booze. Alright, giving gifts.
Or notepads of himself.
Or notepads of himself. touch, and this isn't sexual touch. This is just touch by strangers as well, and sort of like
Hug, shake
interacting.
hands.
Yeah, so it's very
Just
that
for the
sort of
benefit of
Yeah.
everyone that doesn't know who we are.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, like, you two aren't getting married, despite me not changing.
no, sorry.
No, that legislation hasn't passed yet.
Conrad and I are not getting married, but he is there. So
You now legally can though.
yeah, we can. Hooray!
So I hope you haven't changed your mind.
No, I haven't. But anyway, moving on. And the final one is quality time. So that's just basically spending time with someone. So just to recap: affirmation, acts of service, giving gifts, touch, and quality time. So the theory behind it is that, like, see, my personal love language is quality time. So all you need to do to fill my love tank or my love bucket is give me time. So come and sit next to me, have a chat.
And you can switch out the word love when you look at everybody else you love. I mean, love is very softly. When I'm speaking to business people, I use the word acknowledge. So it has the same outcome.
Exactly. So, but like my partner Ashby, her love language. Yes, who I am married. Her love language is affirmation. So words of affirmation. So when we started first going out, I would give her quality time and just be like doting upon her because I'm spending time with her because that's what I value and that's what I want to receive. And she's trying to show me love by affirming me all the time, going, Travis, you're really good at this. You're really handsome. You're this, but it wasn't filling my love tank up. So I read this book and I realised I was like, oh, holy shit, we communicate in different languages. So I played a game for a couple of months. First month, I affirmed her all the time, just every day. Best month of sex I've ever had. Second month,
Whatever you like.
Second month, I gave her no affirmation at all. And then basically we started to niggle and that sort of stuff. So it's amazing how
you wouldn't have known. You couldn't tell her.
No, I didn't tell her, so I told her afterwards. So I read this book and then sort of experimented with her. And then they carried on. So we actually make a big effort to communicate in each other's love languages. But more to the point, it doesn't just extend to your immediate love interest or your partner or whatever. I use it in everyday life, across working relationships, across, I play quite high level basketball and it's working out my teammates, my coach, that sort of thing. And it's not, I really hate the word to manipulate. I think the word is to, influence is a better word because you can communicate with that person and communicate with them on such a better and higher level, then you get to a better result. So my question is what's your love language and how do you use it in everyday life?
And the book is 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman.
That's correct. So I would highly recommend that. It'll be in show notes. I know how this one works.
This is episode 2.
Can I ask a question before we go
yes.
into that? Did you cycle through all the love languages with Ashby when you were doing the experiment, or did you already know from reading the book and then you just switched the one that you thought was the love language on and then switch it off? Because when you talked about your experiment, you only mentioned...
Yeah, affirmation. I knew what she was.
Okay.
So generally you have a primary and a secondary.
Mm-hmm.
Ashby's affirmation and then touch, and mine's quality time and touch. So we're quite touchy-feely. So I already knew that, but the people that I don't know well enough, say in like a working relationship, I will do that. I'll kind of switch them on and off to see the result I get for that reason, because sometimes you just don't know completely.
You can just ask them how they show their love to, how do they show their love to their partners?
Yeah. But a lot of people don't know either. They just kind of, they don't actually understand how it is to communicate in love. So, and I don't think love's always the right word. It is, what did you say before?
I'd say acknowledge, how do you acknowledge people in your life?
Yeah, and that's probably in more of a working relationship. So that's, So anyway, my question is, what's your love language and how do you use it? If you do use it, if you're aware of it, you may not be aware of it or never read the book. If you use it in everyday life.
Super fascinating you bring it up today, because V and I, so my wife and I, went through this book as well and did a similar thing with you, and I never really knew what it really was, and to be perfectly honest, I've read the book but I probably don't reflect on it enough to kind of attentively think about it in day-to-day interactions as much as I should. But I'm super aware of it with my relationship, And I guess I'm really happy that we came across it, because I found out that her love language is quality time and my love language is words of affirmation. And so when I'm really busy with the business and work, that takes away quality time from her. So we had to have this discussion where we both had to be on the same page. This is more, I guess, our relationship, in that, you know, we have to have a date night. If we don't have a date night, then, like as you said in your experiment, we start to get a little bit at each other, because her love tank, as you said, is being dried up from no quality time. And if I don't get kind of the affirmation as well. So it was interesting. It was really powerful for us to acknowledge these things, particularly when you're really busy in life, right? Because you can apply the dosages. But I would say that I feel like this is really interesting when we get to the next question, and this is freaky. We talked about this last two episodes, and my next question is so related to this as well. It's just bizarre. And just so everyone knows, we don't share these topics with each other before we come into these sessions. So we don't actually know what each person's going to be talking about. This is all on the fly. So yeah. But anyway, I definitely need to apply it more in my kind of, I guess, friendships and work relationships more, and being more aware. But just simply reading that book is powerful, because, like you said, most people aren't aware, but it's awareness.
Yeah.
You notice then the people who buy others gifts or give them gifts, and you're like, oh, that person is then obviously a person of gifting.
It's how to communicate with people on their level. Especially, you've got 3 people sitting in this room that are in a manager role or have staff below them, and
let's use the word leadership.
Leadership. Sorry, wrong word. Leadership role. I was trying to think of the right word. Alright.
I manage you.
Leadership role, and it's how to communicate with your people you're leading on an effective level.
Yeah, and communication's super powerful, right?
Yeah.
Because you have to communicate, both acknowledge your love languages and then try to communicate in each other's. Otherwise, you end up just kind of, I guess, there was an interesting concept I learned. It was kind of like that you take too much than what you deposit. So it's like with any relationship, right? It's kind of those people who are your takers and suckers of energy in life or anything in your own network. And I've been guilty, I think, sometimes of taking and not giving enough. And that could be, like you said, conversation, quality time, just hanging out, just saying hello, and depositing into that individual's essentially love tank, or what did you call it? Acknowledgement tank? Love bucket.
Acknowledgement.
Whatever you want to call it.
Good feelings.
Yeah.
Vibes,
5149.
5149.
Right.
Well, yeah,
Mic drop, bang. And next topic.
Well,
who's it? What's your love language? I think I missed it.
My love language is affirmation.
Yeah, how do I not know that? No, I did know that.
You do know that. Yeah. So what's your love language? And have you had this conversation
I got it.
with your partner?
This will be interesting. So I know of the book. I think I've read an article or two, but I've never actually read the book and haven't sort of dug in deep. So
You can do an online test if you don't want to read the book.
Well, I can do that too. But I'm having a look at it. I'm pretty sure my wife's all of these.
Oh, she's special.
No, look, I'm not sure. I mean, it'd be interesting to hear what other people think.
How do you show her you love her?
How do I do it?
Yeah.
I think
No, don't think. You do it. How do you show you love her?
Yeah, I'm reading the different languages
Do
here.
you do things for her?
I think service is a big part of it.
That's
Could be a shoulder.
a very male thing of acts of service.
So that's what I do.
And also for when you're a parent, you tend to do things for more people, including your kids.
Yes, my wife's
That's probably, I'd say that's probably a primary one. It's service.
It can't be time because you're a businessman, right? It can't be time.
Well, it's not. Yeah. So that's probably my leading one.
Well, actually, I lie to you. It can be because it's quality time, not quantity time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's me. That's what I give out. Definitely service, and I would also probably go with then time as the next one, and attempting to give as much time as possible. I'm very good at making making decisions around spending time with the family, with Tash, as opposed to I work around it. I'll rather lose sleep to get some extra business done than and make sure I still get quality time or spend time with her.
Hi Tash.
Hi Tash. She finally downloaded, or she added our podcasts to her podcast app, and that was the first thing. She's like, podcast? Is that an app?
Tash is special.
Anyway, Tash doesn't listen to podcasts.
Well, she
reads
reads
a few good books.
So she's acknowledging you.
No, she reads a few good books. But podcast is not her thing. But anyway, that would be me, and it doesn't align with her necessarily. I would suggest that she is more around words of affirmation, and probably quality time as well. So that would be her ones. Without digging deep into it, I would say I have to be very mindful of those, because I often just want to provide service and feel like that's me, I guess, doing...
Well, there's times during a night that you might want to do that.
There is. There's also times that I probably need to provide more affirmation.
Maybe it's after the service.
or
during.
Yeah.
Marco, me.
I think we've just had a special guest arrive.
Grab a seat.
Mr. Agapantha.
Agapantha's just walked in the studio.
Mr. Agapantha in the house. Grab a seat. We're definitely not live.
Hey. How are you, bro? How's my car?
Good to see ya.
It's in good nick. Hey, brother.
So,
Nice haircut. Thanks, man.
The topic is love languages. What's yours?
How do you show yourself?
How does it show up in your life?
Really glad
We just give a little insight here. This is Matt Adaponier. Is Travis. I played with Matt last year in basketball, so he was sort of our import.
He wasn't an import.
He was really.
He's not an import.
I'm
Freaking Australian, mate.
Yeah, mate.
I'm born in Subiaco.
So where are you
Me
importing?
too.
Where are you importing him from?
Yeah, but no. But if you think
He's
about,
black, mate.
it's because he's paid as well. He's just been in Indonesia playing a tournament over there. Back to Cairns to do some video stuff and some documentary stuff, and then back to WA for some idiot's wedding. So back to your question of what's your love language, and what else you asked, Matt?
And how do you use it in your
Do you
life?
know the love languages?
I'll
yeah,
through
had the
it.
chat.
How do you show love to people?
Yeah, how do you show love to people?
So you've got affirmation, acts of service, giving gifts, touch, and quality time.
Quality time by a mile.
By a mile,
And then daylight.
Yeah.
And then everything besides receiving gifts.
Yeah, mate, because I told him to give this chick some flowers, and even that was the hardest thing for him to do. He couldn't put time in the mail to it.
Yeah. But anyway, sort of recapping a little bit, the reason I wanted to bring it up was because it's sort of like it changed the way I looked at my relationships in every aspect of my life. And then we go back to like the first episode where we're talking about being content and sort of monk-like status and being sort of happy as well. And if your love bucket is always full, that's one sort of like tool in your chest to enable you to be happy and be content and be, sort of thing. Because when your love bucket's full, and I'm spending lots of quality time with my partner or Matt or, you guys, the other touch and the giving gifts and acts of service just kind of top it up as well. So it's one thing that I
2 minutes
really... You go?
Just quickly on it.
Yeah.
So mine's quality time, but there's a lot of key people in my life that have affirmation.
What's trying to teach you a lesson then?
100%. So that's the other thing to be very, very mindful of, is that if you start seeing the predominance of things show up in your life, it's happening for a reason, and you have to deal with it. And it's one of the most annoying things in my life, because I'm not the greatest affirmer of anybody.
Yeah.
So that's the other side of this game, is understanding if there's a pattern in anything. Yeah. With anything, if there's a pattern, then it's there for a reason.
Those people with those affirmation needs are drawn to you for obviously that reason.
To again, point me in the direction of my weakness, to allow me to become better at it, and it's annoying.
Because I get the same thing.
I'm very much the same there as well. I really struggle with that. There'll be a situation, and it could be anyone, whether I'm talking about...
Because you built up the resilience enough.
I do. I have this resilience, and I'm like, I should say this now. My head's actually saying, say this. And sometimes I will, oftentimes I won't.
I feel like spewing.
Why didn't I?
No, I get to the point where I don't want to.
Don't want to what, affirm someone?
Yeah.
Like say good job or
Yeah.
well done. Or
Yeah, 100%.
That's interesting.
Well, it's about being.
Because I feel like I'm band-aiding someone from doing it for themselves. Because I had to learn that myself. I grew up in a household which didn't show a lot of love, right? And that's not a bad thing, but it just wasn't something we did. My mum and dad did it through action. Yeah? And then when I learned about love language, I started to understand that a lot better. And then I understood, well, that's how they showed me their love. They still love me, they just showed me in a different way. They didn't affirm me, they didn't, hug me or touch me or all that type of stuff. I got it through their service. And that's okay. So...
I saw a quote yesterday, which is pretty funny, and it says, "You don't need a pat on the back for doing what you're supposed to do."
Dead straight, you don't.
Yeah.
Like if that's what you do, if you come to work and someone says, "Oh, you did a great job today," of course, I'm at work. That's what I do.
Tim Grover?
But see, I have that methodology a little bit, but I think it's too much because the people that you care about, and if they're looking for affirmation, and that's what helps and services them, then there comes a point. I fundamentally agree with it, but I also realise my flaw that I should provide some more of that affirmation to people.
I'm being brutal, right? I mean, you do have to work on it. And I do love the people in my life that are showing me this because it does shine you a bit more. But when it comes in the waves it does at times, you're just daunted by it all.
Yeah.
But for you guys, it carries more weight.
Yeah, because we're managers, apparently.
Exactly.
I just couldn't think of the right word, alright?
This is a great segue into the next topic, which I said is so connected, which what I wanted to talk about today, this will freak everyone out a little bit, is my question was actually what makes a good leader. Can you not believe
You see my quote
what
today?
that's connected?
My quote today on Facebook.
Can we put leader / manager?
/ manager.
/coach.
I did. I said what makes a good leader versus good manager.
There you go.
That was actually what I wrote down on my notepad. Would you not believe that? Right? And it's and so love language, I guess, plays a contribution to this, which we've just talked about. And so we've already kind of, I think, delved into and talked about this already. So I'd like to, I guess, evolve this a little bit further. Unpack this further. Because even on the affirmation, I guess I bring this up because I've been having a few conversations. I'm at a point in my business where I'm trying to look to instill some leaders and some managers, and I'm struggling as well. And then it's questioning what is a good leader. So this is why this thought process is coming up for me as well. And yeah, it influences your personal life. I also have been listening to a little bit of your Ray Dalio, who's insane at the moment, his principles. Obviously I listen to a lot of Gary Vee as well, and I think he's embodies some good qualities as a leader, and we're surrounded by some good leaders in this room and locally. So and the other part of it is like as a two-parter is can it be taught as well?
I was literally just thinking,
If you're a great leader,
throw that into
real
the
simple,
air.
real simple. If you're a great leader,
And
you
can
have
it
to
be
teach
taught?
leaders.
Yeah.
You have to be able to.
And so can leadership be taught? What are the qualities that makes a good leader? We've, I think, talked about, awareness of love language is super important, which I guess is a bit of empathy, right?
Empathy is a big one.
Because it's understanding someone else and being in their shoes and their position. Because another one is, I guess, just on to kind of connect the two. I struggle as a leader to affirm, yet my love language is affirmation. I struggle to affirm people, and I fight this balance between affirming people when it's just meant to be your job versus actually going above and doing great work. And there's a lot of other areas where I struggle of challenging of going, am I doing the right thing? Is this really the right thing? How can I guess, lead people to be their best selves? So I'm going to go straight to Coach Carter. And I want to get his thoughts on what makes a good leader and can it be taught.
I think we've talked about it. I mean, coincides with the post I put on today. I mean, it was flattering, that comical picture. You see that?
Yeah, it was awful.
Yeah, it's a comical picture that Michael Duncan put up, because I'm passionate about leadership, right? I suffer for great leadership, and that's something I really, really am trying to. Well, I am installing in my team. Travis has been playing in my basketball team now for 3 years, but been around for a while. Maddie was around for a while. What I talked to you about leadership last year, same thing. Everything's about leadership, and yes, leadership can be cultivated. I wouldn't like to think leadership's being taught. Okay, and why I say cultivated is because I believe everybody's got their own leadership style. Okay, when you're teaching, you're passing on knowledge through your mind, but when you're cultivating, you're drawing it out. And I think that's exactly where great leadership exists. It exists in identifying the talent, cultivating it out.
So is it fair to say as well then, when you're trying to instill leadership, you've got to be mindful of allowing individuals to step up into their own flavour, into their own
100%.
their own language, and not try to pass on your preconceptions and your judgments onto them and expect
because as a leader,
those things of them.
Because as a leader, and from a level of authenticity, that's where leadership exists. The more authentic you are, the better you can be. The better you can be, the better you can lead. Okay, so a person's experience is what allows them to be the best version of themselves if they talk through their own experience. All right. So when you put yourself in a situation, you're trying to lead somebody else. You're talking through you, not talking at them. Yeah, which is why the Gary V's of the world and the great storytellers, the great orators of the world tell stories and they influence people. They're great leaders. So that's so allowing someone to believe themselves, to understand what's happened to them and where they are, so that they can lead other people through who they are. Great topic.
Yeah, it was. I was
Can I just read
him with the floor.
Can I just read this quote which I posted this morning, because I think it summarises that. Being a great leader is all about having a genuine willingness and true commitment to lead others to achieve a common vision and goals through a positive influence. No leader can ever achieve anything great or long-lasting all alone. Teamwork goes hand in hand with leadership. Leadership is all about people and for people.
I think that's what I was going to add into that. I mean, one thing I've really noticed and seen over time is that leadership can happen at any level as well, and it's not just the top of the, not just the top of the chain, whether coach, captain, whoever that is, and you can see some really genuine change through teams from someone sitting at any rung, and just watching their behaviour, how they approach wins or losses. I mean, there's some amazing.
Oh, thanks for that segue.
Wins or losses, we're rolling to that. Yeah, but I've seen it. I mean, I think it's kind of not quite. It was leadership in a sense, but I remember a story of someone that had been a janitor at a hospital for 25 years, and someone asked them, why do you do what you do? And they just had such passion for their job because the surgeons couldn't help all these people if they didn't do what they did. Cleaning, they valued their part so highly, and that to me is leadership.
Yeah. And
at their level, at any level, because it's all part of the process.
Well, it's their vision, it's their goal, right?
That's right.
It doesn't have to be someone else's, then it's not someone else's.
Yeah. So I don't know if that person ever wins or loses, but that they're on that perpetual pursuit on that goal.
We'll talk about wins and losses.
I'm bringing win and loss back in for you here. So let's see that. Let's see what you've got.
Well, I'll get to wins and losses, but I'm happy to talk leadership because all of the people in this room, including our esteemed guest here, have got leadership qualities. Everyone does. I think it's more so the case that they don't know that because they either haven't been challenged in that space, or they haven't had it cultivated with them, or they haven't seen the opportunity to lead.
What are the core qualities from your point of view?
Like I said, to be able to communicate is the main piece of being a leader. Having a great vision, and being able to be a great goal setter. Because without a vision, you can't lead. Where are you leading
and
to?
that's what that rolling back, the communication piece.
Yeah.
Like a lot of leaders will lead by action. And
they're not great leaders though. I struggle with action leaders.
Yeah.
Okay. But there's different forms of leadership. And
you can lead through action
yeah.
if everybody understands that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay? A great actions leader can't move a team if the team needs a vocal leader.
So does that mean as well, not that leading by example is necessarily a blanket kind of good quality?
I think leading by example is probably the easiest form of leadership.
Yep.
I don't think leading by example guarantees actually moving too many people.
Because that's just doing what you do really well. And instilling that sort of.
So I think it's a cheap form of leadership. I'm not saying it's not necessary. I just don't think you move enough people to achieve great things. Now, if you look at great leaders in the world, most of them weren't the doers. Most of them were the visionaries, and they communicated that well enough to their next line.
I guess
that creates buy-in.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it didn't quite mean action like that.
Sorry, buddy.
Well, I meant that from more of a responsibility point of view and how they approach and deal with situations. Look, I see what you're saying there. I agree.
I'm pretty passionate about it because of what we're dealing with at the moment. But and to come back to leadership at multi levels.
Yeah.
Okay, we're doing that in my office at the moment. I've got my advisors, and I'm having my middle management, well, my administrators hold them accountable to make them better. And then I had a conversation this morning with one of my staff who's having, I've got a couple of people in the Philippines, he's asked them to hold them accountable, you know. So if everyone's holding everyone else accountable in a chain of command, only great things can happen. Only great things can happen.
And Hayder, what have you experienced with that in terms of playing with, you know, in the sporting element of it as well?
It's interesting that you say about the leaders by doing and that what did you say with the acts of
service?
No, the action. Yeah, leaders by action. It's interesting that I've been involved in a few teams, and the leaders by action leaders, we're not as successful as when we have leaders that are vocally within the team as well, because you don't get the buy-in that from the rest of the team, and that can be put into like a business sense as well. Like you need every person to buy into your vision.
So you're talking about like
doers and sayers.
Yeah, an individual in the team is just a natural superstar, scores all the points, carries kind of the team, but they've got nothing else.
Yeah,
and they're not the ones that help contribute to overall team success.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
But what about? I mean, when I sort of raised it, I was like action around practice, like how they go about what they would do at the club. I mean, are you saying that as well? Like you found that a vocal leader versus, let's say, someone that was just very diligent with practice and how they would go about things, you found helped your team succeed more? Or am I looking at something a bit differently?
It wouldn't be say just vocal. I think it's a factor of a lot of key components. Like there was in my previous team, there was one gent that he wasn't probably the most vocal, but he was the most vocal when it counted. So it was all the things that he was an actions leader, but he was vocal when it counted and when you really needed. And he created the respect and the aura and the sort of thing that everyone bought into exactly what he wanted to do. So I think he had such a great mix on exactly what he could bring to the team. Saying that, he had a good support staff of other vocal leaders, but also other action leaders as well. So it was very well balanced. So in a sense of that, like he had good support staff around him. So if it was just him, I think he would struggle. You know, he did have that action leader, whereas, you know, we needed a bucket or, you know, needed some leadership in the fourth quarter. You know, that action leader would go into gear, and then he would step up as well.
Create that? Like, I guess, did he form that leadership structure? Do you know what I mean? Was
Great
he a great leader that...
Great leaders, I think we're talking about the same person.
Yeah.
I hope so.
I'm sure we are. Yeah, I mean, the person we're talking about, I've got infinite amount of respect for. And I was just saying, as you're talking...
well, we can name him.
Sheldon
McIntyre.
Yeah.
So I played with him at Coburn. And he'd be a little bit shorter than me, skinnier than me. I'm, sorry for everyone, I'm 6'3" and about 79 kilos.
Wringing wet.
So, but this bloke could play as a big, play as a point guard, you know, and he could do everything on the court. But it's from the mental side. But the way he led the team was phenomenal. I have the most respect for him out of anyone I've played with. But he wouldn't go out there and get 30 points, 20 rebounds, 10 assists. That wasn't his role. But the way he created buy-in from the team...
Yeah, to let everybody be the best of themselves.
So are you more referring to, Matt, in terms of accountability versus responsibility, i.e. like keeping someone... like that element of trying to keep someone accountable, of going like the expectation of like you should be doing X, Y, and Z, and therefore the leader should be also be delivering on X, Y, and Z to be able to keep that individual accountable.
Well,
is that what you're referring to?
That's what I was referring to in terms of action.
But the great thing with Sheldon, so in context of what you're saying, the great thing with Sheldon is that he'd give you space to be the best player you can be.
Yeah.
If it came to him to bail you out, he'd bail you out for the win of the team.
Yeah, I agree with Matt. I love action leaders.
Yeah.
I think maybe we have
quite define it
depends
the right
on
way.
personnel.
It depends,
team sport, it
depends on personnel, and it also depends on who you need at what stage, right?
Yeah.
So the great leaders that I've seen and I've witnessed, like Sheldon, actions and words, okay, and they can go to one or either at any point in time.
Well, that's like coming back to your early, topic. Great leaders. Did he cultivate that situation? Did he bring those other leaders up? Does he talk about the
I
support
believe
group?
so.
I believe so.
Did he make that
He
happen?
empowered other
And
people.
you know why? Because the reason I think he did that is because he holds himself at such high standards. You know, and nobody at no point could hold him at a higher standard than himself. So then when everyone else looks up to him and sees what, you know, an action leader, you know, that's what he needs to do. He sort of thing. I think that's one of the highest qualities of a leader that can be.
So that's like what we've brought up in a couple of the podcasts. I mean, Bruce has brought up, but last week we touched on Kobe, I think, very briefly, or
We're heading back to Kobe.
Yeah. And so, like, with that, is Kobe, just for context, like, is he a great leader in that aspect? From, I don't know fully, but from, I mean, Conrad, you know a lot about Kobe. Is that a good reference point, or not necessarily? Is he a certain particular leader? Just so we have a reference point.
So talking about cultivating leaders. Kobe was a cultivated leader. Okay.
Yeah.
He was a pure actions person. He worked harder than anybody else.
Yeah.
Okay. And everybody around him will tell you that. And then he had to win a championship. And for him to win a championship, he had to make other people around him better. So it was at that stage he had done everything, and then he had to go out and make people better. He did it through holding them accountable. He did it through communicating. He did it through conversation, but very black and white. He was very clear with what he did and why he did it.
Yeah.
You also did it through fear. Like if you
Guilt.
Well, Jordan did the same thing.
Guilt more than fear.
No, more fear from him projecting fear onto others. For example,
Bruce Wayne.
There's been a LeBron story recently that came out with J.R. Smith. He wasn't playing very well. I think it was the first year they had the whole team back in Cleveland, and you get a tap on the shoulder from LeBron, like, hey, for you to get traded somewhere else.
Straight up.
Then next day, J.R. Smith's hitting a few more shots. And when you have people who are so gifted, it's not about like practicing. Like J.R. Smith goes
Practice.
500. Yeah, it's not about like. As funny as it is, when you're that good,
Well, it's so mental.
you don't forget how.
It's so
To,
mental.
if you've shot a million shots, if you don't shoot for a day, you're not going to forget.
Yeah.
It's just applying your talent, and sometimes fear of it ending and then ending up in Minnesota or somewhere cold. Would probably get a little bit more out of it.
So I guess in summary,
Especially when
then,
you're shit.
you know, great leaders are someone who cultivates other leaders at all levels.
Yeah.
Is kind of a summary of what we're saying. I think it would be good to share the video of the general for the submarine.
Yeah.
I forget the names off the top of my head, but that's also a phenomenal kind of video that I should probably watch more regularly. You know, I won't go into detail, but that summarizes.
The video, the video is great because it essentially says leaders should lead through intent, right? So
Good word.
through intent.
yeah, so you communicate your intent and then have the patience with your team to step back, let them figure it out and get to what you want to achieve their way, right? Because 1,000 people acting towards your intent is a lot better than you trying to prescribe 1,000 people what to do, because you can't manage that well.
Yeah.
So that video is amazing, and I wanted to get to it, but I think I missed out for the kind of 15 minutes that we've got for this one. But
We've got a couple.
we'll put it in the show
We've got a
notes.
couple
It's
minutes
an
left.
amazing
You
video.
got a couple minutes, so yeah.
But no, so
Please.
I think now I shot myself in the foot, right? That's the real. That's the real crux of it. But the other thing that I was thinking was self-awareness when we start talking about how to elevate other people, right? So if you are in a position of formal authority, right? How are you the best leader? And I think it's by having the humility to recognize your shortcomings and putting people around you that will make up for those, right? And the humility part is key, because you've got to let them step in for where you're short, where you fall short. So my 2 cents on the topic would be humility and self-awareness to be an amazing leader, and I think that applies at any level.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad we had those extra minutes, because I think, so you know, the ability to cultivate, which does take humility, right, and self-awareness for other individuals, and stepping away. And I think being a control freak, which is something that I challenge with, can be more detrimental than positive. In the moment, you feel like it's suicidal, right? And in the moment, it feels like the right thing, but in the long game, it's not. So, you know, I guess a good leader, from what we believe, is someone who can cultivate others. Action leader is the easiest form of leader, however, it can be effective, and that leadership can be at every level, not just from the top. So I still can't get over how this connects to love languages, though, as well. You know,
and I've
just purely communication.
Yeah.
And I've just got to say, we've talked about Sheldon McIntyre here. If I don't mention his sister Fleur, I've coached them both. Fleur McIntyre, love you, sweetheart. We still haven't needed a bottle of wine before Christmas. The McIntyre family are great leaders. All right, I've coached both of them. They're high achievers in the community and on the basketball court. Phenomenal leadership skills. Thanks, Fleur.
Alright,
Next up on the Conrad Francis show.
I'm not sure if you actually paid for your ads.
Yeah. Nice words of affirmation there.
But you don't know Fleur. She'd slaughter me.
Sheldon's the best player, though. So
I've always said that. Sheldon's the better player.
inside joke. Sorry about that one. Anyway, your topic.
Oh, we're on to
on with
what
it.
have we got? We've got a few minutes left.
It's your soapbox, so let's go.
Good time.
Yeah.
I can't get to. I won't be too close to the microphone because Travis's ears hurt. So in breaking one of the rules.
Wait, not that we're
Because you're talking
listening to
about
our
shit.
own podcast, right?
Be your biggest fan.
That's it.
You have to self-reflect.
That's
Very
it.
big.
Yeah,
Self-awareness.
Review.
Yeah.
So in breaking the rule that was set during the week about not circulating content, I'm about to break that rule.
Wait, I can just picture him driving with the headphones and listening to his own podcast.
I did circulate this content, and it's something I've actually just passed on to my seniors in my office because I'm reviewing it with them on Monday. But it's that 4-minute 11 piece on Kobe when he was interviewed by a TV talk show host on what motivated him. You know, whether it was the fear of losing or the desire to win. And I mean, you've watched it.
Yes.
You watched that one? I'm not sure whether
Yeah, I
you've
watched
seen it.
It's on the bad audio.
No.
No, it's
No,
cool. Yeah.
no, it's just
I don't think I've shared it with you.
I'll send it to you, right?
His answer was actually quite profound, but extremely clarifying for me. And I'll put it some context a little bit later. But his answer was that he's neither motivated by the fear of losing, because that's also defeating, nor does he have the desire to win, because that has ability to conduce or induce failure. He just says he's bang in the middle, in the sense that he just he just participates and plays in honour to be the best he can be. And
Is that where he said there's no such thing as failure? Was that the
there's
same
no,
one?
yeah.
Failure does not exist.
Failure does not exist. And putting that in context for myself and what I throw around the table here, when I look at what's happened in my life, you know, over the last 10 years, 9 years, where I've been, where I am, I had to change the way I looked at what defined me as being successful, and then what was going to motivate me to do what I needed to do. And in the field of money is almost what ticks the box to validate who you are. The car you drive, the house you live in, the suits you wear, you know, the office you keep. That's, you know, what has been in our field and in the finance field what emanates success.
In most fields, really. Most fields.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I'm very, very different. What I had to realise with me was that those things never meant anything to me. So me aiming for those things had no value to me. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't motivated by that level of winning. Nor was I scared of having nothing, because I did have nothing, and I still buried it. So I didn't exist. That didn't motivate me, and that didn't motivate me. I had to find a space in the middle. And what got me to the spot? It's crazy, right?
Bruce Lee?
No.
It's crazy.
I'm just here kind of, you know, giggling to myself in that.
That's where you're at.
I'm at the similar position where the money didn't motivate me. Failure doesn't motivate me because I know if I fail,
You know where you come from, right?
But I just start again as well, so it doesn't even scare me, and I learn a great lesson out of it. And so I'm just kind of sitting there giggling because I'm like, shit, that's me.
Yeah.
I've been there.
But you didn't see it when you watched that video, right?
No, I did not.
So I
honest,
wasn't.
not until you just explained it. I'm sitting there going, yeah, all right.
Yeah. And so when I was
Thanks,
watching
Conrad.
that, it was like a massive bag of coins landing on my head. Thinking, yeah, bro, you're cool there. and it's okay to be okay there. So I don't think I've shared it with you.
No, I haven't seen it.
Or you, Matt, but you might have seen it.
I've seen it, yeah.
So I'm just keen to tell you, I mean, your motivations, I mean, I guess as people...
Well, comes back. It's a journey, right? We
Oh!
go straight back to the
100%.
initial conversation. And it's
That's
enjoying,
exactly right.
it's
That's
enjoying
exactly what
the
he's talking
journey,
about.
take the
Just
destination out.
being right there, existing right there, that doesn't move you, that doesn't move you. You just do.
But
You
him being
just be.
so calm and just responding that way was pretty incredible, I think, which is part why the video is so good.
But Kobe is deadly like that.
Mm.
He's an assassin.
He's a cleaner.
He is a dead set cleaner.
It's trained by the cleaner.
So he's not a cleaner anymore. Didn't you hear that?
Oh yeah, sorry.
So-
Trained by
We
the
should put
next
that.
level.
Did we put that video in already for the?
The Tim Grover one.
Yeah.
No, we
We
haven't
should
talked.
put that in
We
just
haven't
to
talked
give,
Tim Grover
if
yet.
No,
anyone's
no.
interested in those three, because
We should.
So I will. I mean, I think I've quietened down the room, but
Is there a question?
yeah, how does that sit with you? I mean, and be honest. I mean, I don't care whether you guys are motivated with fears of winning or losing, whatever the case may be. But what is it? What motivates you guys? Because I get it. I don't, and I'm not motivated by money, and we know this, right?
Yeah,
you talk to
I'm
people.
not either.
You do talk to people
Yeah.
that, and I won't say who, that wouldn't use my services because I didn't live in a suburb that looked reputable. You know, and I don't give a shit.
It's good.
Or the car I drive, I don't give a shit. You know why? Because I'm investing my money in a way that's congruent with what I give advice on.
Well, they're also making a decision for the wrong reason, which is why you don't want to really necessarily work with them anyway.
Yeah, 100%. But you've got to be congruent with you.
Yeah.
People are going to judge you regardless. You can fail doing shit you love as easily as you can fail doing shit you don't love.
Well, that's. Oh, actually, I was watching the Jim Carrey video.
I watched it last night.
Literally, the one thing I took out of the last half an hour, not the one thing, but the main thing was, fuck, you can fail at something that you don't love, so you may as well fail doing what you do.
100%.
Yeah.
You know, why not just follow
So
your passion?
be the person you want to be.
Exactly.
So what if money doesn't motivate you? What motivates you?
The challenge. I love getting up every day. I know that sounds so wank, but like, man, like I don't know. I just love the challenge of solving stuff that I'm not supposed to solve, or doing stuff that is not supposed to be. You know, Travis, you didn't go to college, or you didn't go to uni, or you didn't do this, or you didn't study, or man, I don't care. Like, it for me, end result isn't driving a nice car or having a nice house. It's just for me. It's not for anyone else. Like, I couldn't care less what anyone thinks of me. You know, personally, I guess
I
everyone.
sleep well every night.
Yeah.
I can vouch for him on that. I remember one day we shot underwater photos in the pool, purely because he's like, well, I don't know if I can do it, so let's go and push
Figure
the
it out.
boundaries and see what we can make. And that, like, just seeing him do that, like, of course it's cool for me to get a few Instagram photos for the trouble, but for him to just because he doesn't do it, he doesn't shoot shots underwater, he's like, maybe I can, let's see.
Get out of your comfort zone.
And the flash didn't work when we got there, so he was thinking on the run. We had an idea to set them off underwater, but it doesn't trigger underwater, so he was just thinking on the spot. It was pretty cool for me
And
to
they
see.
were awesome, right? I saw
Yeah.
them.
I
Awesome.
Are they just on your
Oh,
Instagram?
really cool.
Okay, cool.
But it's about, like, for me, it's about getting out of my comfort zone.
And I was way out.
Yeah, that sort of stuff, and tying it back to basketball. Like, personally, I was looking at not playing this year, and you know, for me to go on the journey to play again, it's to get out of my comfort zone and learn the lessons that I need to learn, and become a better leader, and become, you know, and really step up to the challenge. Like, I've never stepped up to the challenge for basketball because it's always been my outlet. Business has been my challenge, but I'm looking at basketball as more of a challenge and more, you know, analytical now. You know,
So you're more motivated now? for
absolutely,
basketball?
yeah,
More
absolutely.
than last year?
Yeah, way more than last year. You know, last year I went into the mindset that it would just happen, but I've never gone into the mindset of a year of business that it would just happen.
Do you want to win or lose?
Mate,
He wants to be.
That's funny.
good question. Why? No.
Well, look, I've had 4 businesses, and from that shifting into there, I think I feel like I won from that point, from doing it. Because before, I was working, I had jobs, but that was where I was really I wasn't congruent, right? So it was then getting on that path, and there's been countless challenges and ups and downs along those, as I've moved through different businesses and challenges. But I've always felt like I'd won, whether or not like there was money in my bank or no money in my bank at different times, and I've certainly been through both. So it's really like it is the major scorecard.
But you can win when you lose anyway, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And you can lose when you win.
Yeah.
So they mean nothing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
it's just never finished. If you decide it's done, that's when it's done.
Well, that's where Ray Dalio. I was listening to. He was doing an interview last night. I was listening to it last night, and he said, I put it on my thing. Pain plus reflection equals progress.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I like that post.
Yeah, it's great quote. It's one of his principles, where essentially he's like, I can't lose because when I fail, actually he seeks failure because that's how he progresses, and it's a quick learning. So I don't know whether failure. It'd be interesting whether what motivates him as a question, whether it's failure
That
or
will be another podcast.
or winning for Ray Dalio. But yeah.
Was that on the Gary B?
Yeah, that was Gary B. Ask
Because
Gary
he's just
B.
been on Tim Ferriss. And
Yeah.
he's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
doing, yeah, he's
Doing
done
a
all
lot.
of them,
You got a book
Yeah, he
coming out?
was
He's just
Oh, okay.
just
Yeah.
that book.
Oh,
just
that
book
was.
principles.
But he actually said,
Read it.
this is his book. He's put like 2 or 3 years into this. He's done. Everyone said he should share his principles. He had a lot to give, but he said there's no other book coming out ever. This part of my life is over. Close the book. Done. There is my life.
John Farnham said the same thing, mate.
Oh, John Farnham. Yeah, but I don't think John Farnham's got Ray Dalio in some book.
Boy, that's why John Farnham having to come back to it.
Marco, what's been your kind of drive? Because you've gone through a crazy journey.
Yeah.
What's it?
I was thinking about it. I think what motivates me fluctuates, and then what I do is I just play to what I feel like is motivating me either that day or that month or whatever. So I recognize and use, sometimes it flips to being super externally driven, like wanting validation or wanting people to recognize it. So
What's your love language?
mine is, I think mine are quality time and touch,
Okay.
but I'm not 100% sure.
Time makes
MOB.
sense.
Sorry?
Time makes sense.
Yeah, time definitely, like I'm sure on that one. And then touch, I'm not sure. Potentially, and maybe I just don't want to admit it, potentially maybe affirmation, but yeah.
Mate, it is what it is.
Yeah, it'd be interesting conversation. But super externally driven sometimes, super internally driven sometimes. Sometimes I just do a complete left turn and no one can really understand it, and it's just because that's what I want to do, and I kind of have a fire towards that sort of thing. I think at the moment I'm doing a bit of this last year's been a bit like and my closest friends have had quite.
This last year's been enormous for you.
Yeah, it's been interesting, and I feel like I'm only just.
If I was Marco doing what it was Marco doing, I feel like I'd be having an extra freaking outside of body experience.
And
just
so I don't
to
have
affirm
one
you,
thing
can I
that-
affirm you?
Okay.
Sure. So I must
Don't throw up. Someone get the bucket.
That's it. He's done.
What's in this whiskey?
And that's everything we've got time for this evening on the.
No, but in affirming Marco, I mean, you sharing the stuff you share on Instagram at the moment is fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
All right, because you're 27 years of age,
29.
29 years, right? Great read for a 29-year-old. 29 years of age, reading the stuff that you're reading, allowing it to move you the way it's moving you. Mate, hats off to you.
Yeah, so I think.
And then influencing other people through sharing it.
Yeah, thank you. And I think at the moment I'm going through quite an externally validating kind of phase, because I am spending the time in the morning posting what I'm journaling online, because otherwise why would I do it? Like, what do I care if other people say it?
Well, no, but
Leadership.
there's two sides to that, right? Because there's the side of just putting it out there anyway for you, not necessarily even caring who or what or how much it's then is reciprocated back, because that's part of it.
Yeah.
Well, that's certainly part of some of what I've felt and some of what I've been doing the last 6 to 12 months is that I just put it out. That decision is actually more for me internally compared to necessarily what comes back.
Yeah, and that's it. It's all dependent on the mindset or the frame of mind that you're putting it out with. And then I flipped to super internal stuff. But I don't have one kind of real motivator. I think it's all tied back to, because I'm not very clear
Are you
on
scared
like,
of
my why.
failing?
Am I scared of failing? Yeah and no. But actually, one thing that I was thinking of that didn't come to me when you actually put the spotlight on me is accountability. That's something that definitely gets me performing and motivates me. So when there's real accountability and my name is against something, I'll get it done. It
What
doesn't
about
matter.
for yourself, like your own kind of, in 10 years' time, and you think back to not giving something 100%, fail or win, how would that make
Where does that
you feel?
question come from, Mr. Adeponya?
How does
In terms
yeah,
of
reflecting
accountability
back-
with
yeah.
yourself.
I think it plays a big part without me realizing, and only until you've just asked that question, because I do think pretty much 4 or 5 times a day on my deathbed, am I going to be happy with like what I'm saying to this person, or like today at the Apple store, right? I was waiting and I was thinking about, like, I was checking my phone and I was like, am I going to give a shit when I'm dying because Dad came with me, and I was like, will I care what on my phone right now, or the fact that like I want to ask Dad whatever question, right? Like, doesn't matter. So I think it does.
Yeah.
But I just didn't realize it until you asked me that
But
question.
that can still be a form of motivation within yourself.
Absolutely.
Win or loss, it's more. am I
That's
doing the
intrinsic,
best?
man. That's
Yeah.
deep.
Yeah, and I'm going there a lot at the moment. Like, there was
Well, the stuff you're reading
I was going to say,
is taking you there,
what you're
man.
choosing
Yeah.
to read
Yeah.
as well.
it's super powerful because it just makes stuff really simple.
Cuts the bullshit through, right?
Really
Oh.
simple.
Extreme
That's
responsibility.
why I've appreciated you sharing that stuff, because it's taken me to places which I've been before, but rereading it now, when I'm in a different headspace, it's given me a hell of a lot more clarity on certain things.
Well, I'm glad it's helping because
Oh, look at
like,
this love fest over here.
yeah.
Maybe sit on this
Blushing
side of the table.
Over to you, wrap it up.
Over to me. All right. Well, I guess we'll wrap it up. No, hang on. It's not my question. It's your question.
No,
It's
it's
your
my
question.
question. No, but you're hosting, bro. You put
Oh, I'm
you put
hosting. I'm the
whiskey
drink
on the
man.
table.
Well, let's go back to the drink then. How did we all enjoy the Talisker single malt Scotch whiskey?
Sensational.
It's warming. Definitely.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
It's warming,
Yeah,
alright.
so Conrad.
I don't know if it's the whiskey or Conrad's affirmation over here that's warm back up.
Well, we're warmed up. It's Friday night, Friday evening, and I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you next time.
Cheers.
Peace.
Jump back.